The great ship Endeavour moved quietly through the deep space of the outer rim. The stars here were faint and scattered like dust on a dark cloth. Most travelers did not come to this part of the galaxy. It was too far, too empty, and too unknown. But humans were explorers, and explorers did not fear distant places. They were curious by nature, and curiosity had brought Endeavour all the way here. Captain Alara Vance stood on the main bridge of the ship. She was calm, focused, and confident. Her eyes were sharp, always looking, always thinking. She had led many journeys before, but something about this region made her feel that something important was waiting. The crew respected her. They trusted her decisions, even the risky ones. She was the kind of leader who listened first and spoke only when needed. She believed that every life, human or not, had value. On this quiet day, Endeavour was mapping new star routes when a sudden alarm filled the bridge. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal," said a communications officer. Alara looked up. "Source?" "Unknown vessel." "Weak signal. They're asking for help." The crew exchanged glances. Out here, a distress call was rare. There were no trade routes, no patrols, no settlements. If someone needed help, it meant they were truly alone. "Can you identify the ship?" Alara asked. The officer worked quickly. "Not human. The design is unfamiliar. It might be from a distant star cluster." Alara gave a steady nod. "Set course toward the signal. Prepare rescue protocols." The ship changed direction. Its engines hummed softly as it moved toward the unknown. As they approached, the image of the distressed vessel appeared on the main screen. It was a slender silver ship with smooth curves and glowing blue lines running across its hull. It looked elegant and advanced, but it was damaged. Parts of the ship were broken, and small fires flickered along the exterior. More alarming were the small fighter ships circling it. They were not sleek or advanced. They looked rough, patched, repaired many times. Clearly, they belonged to space raiders, groups who survived by attacking others. But something was strange. The raider ships were not firing. They were simply circling, blocking the alien ship from escaping. They were waiting, watching, trying to force surrender. Alara understood immediately. The alien ship was trapped. The raiders wanted to take control without damaging what they came for. "Captain," said the tactical officer softly. "What are your orders?" The humans on the bridge watched her closely. They knew helping strangers was dangerous, but they also knew their captain's heart. Alara took a slow breath. "We cannot ignore this. If we turn away, we leave them without hope. Prepare a tactical display. Let's see what we can do." The bridge officers went to work. Within moments, a plan appeared. The humans did not have stronger weapons, but they had speed, precision, and creativity. Humans were known for making solutions out of limited resources. They could not fight a large battle in this region where communication signals were delayed and backup was days away. But they could create a distraction. They could confuse the raiders long enough to allow the alien ship to escape. Alara pointed to key spots in the plan. "We will move here, behind the debris field. Launch harmless flares to draw attention. Once the raiders turn toward us, the alien ship will slip to the far side. We will guide them along a safe path." The crew nodded. It was dangerous, but not impossible. "Open communication to the alien vessel," Alara said. The screen flickered, and soon a face appeared. It was not human. The being had gentle silver eyes, smooth pale skin, and soft ridges along the jaw. The alien seemed tired, frightened, but calm. "This is Captain Alara Vance of the human ship Endeavour. We see you are in need of help. Do you accept our assistance?" The alien looked surprised. "Humans? We have heard of humans. You are travelers of great will." The voice was soft and musical. "Yes, we accept. We are the Vorin. Our engines are damaged. We cannot escape." "Then follow our guidance," Alara replied. The Vorin nodded with gratitude. "Thank you, truly." The plan began. Endeavour shifted behind a field of drifting metal fragments left from old asteroids. At Alara's signal, they released bright light flashes that shone like stars bursting. The raiders turned instantly, confused and alert. The humans used their moment. The Endeavour moved boldly into view, making sure the raiders saw them. The raiders were surprised. Humans rarely came here. No one came here. A message from the raiders came through demanding the humans leave. But Alara ignored them. She was not there to negotiate with those who trapped the helpless. Instead, she gave one calm command. Full engine thrust straight ahead. The Endeavour surged forward. Just as expected, the raiders chased them. thinking the humans wanted to protect the alien ship. As the raiders moved away, the Voran vessel drifted toward the safe route. "Keep guiding them," Alara said, her voice steady. The Voran ship followed a narrow path between drifting rock formations. It was close, very close. A wrong turn could damage the engines even more. But with careful directions from the humans, they made it through. Once the raiders realized the distraction, it was too late. The Voran ship had already escaped into the open space beyond the hazard zone. Seeing this, the raiders decided to retreat instead of chasing further. Their plan had failed. The bridge of the Endeavor exhaled in unison. They had done it. "Open a channel to the Voran ship," Alara ordered. The screen came back on. The silver-eyed alien appeared again. This time the alien looked deeply moved. "You saved us," the Voran said quietly. "You risked your ship for ours. We have little to offer. But please know that our gratitude is true. The Voran never forget those who help us." "We remember every kindness," Alara smiled gently. "We did not help for reward. We helped because it was right." The Voran placed a hand over the heart. "Then we owe you more than we can express. Our paths will cross again, and when they do, we will be ready to return what you have given us." The communication ended. The stars grew quiet again. Some of the Endeavor crew felt warmth from the victory. Some simply felt relief. But Alara felt something different, something she could not yet name. The Voran's gratitude had sounded deep, deeper than normal thanks. It felt like a promise carried with weight and certainty. She stood silent, thinking. The outer rim was vast. The future was unknown, but one thing was clear. This small act of kindness would not be forgotten. Not by humans, and certainly not by the Voran. And that was only the beginning. Months passed after the rescue in the outer rim. The Endeavor continued its journey through new star systems, collecting information, mapping routes, and learning about the many forms of life in the galaxy. The incident with the Voran was remembered warmly among the crew. Many felt proud of what they had done. Saving another species had felt meaningful. However, Captain Alara Vance could not shake a quiet thought that settled in the back of her mind. The words of the Voran captain remained with her. "We never forget those who help us." There had been something serious in that voice. Something deep. Something powerful. It was not ordinary gratitude, but life continued. The mission continued, and space as always was vast. One day, several months after the rescue, Endeavor arrived at a trading world called Orban. The world floated among bright rings of colorful dust and had a welcoming, shining atmosphere. It was one of the few places where many different species lived together peacefully. Ships of all kinds moved in and out of the docking ports, some large, some small, some designed in strange shapes that looked nothing like human engineering. The Endeavor docked at a station orbiting Orban so the crew could rest, resupply, and exchange information with others. Alara stepped out into the docking platform with her officers. The air smelled slightly sweet and warm, a sign of Orban's mild climate. The walkways were lined with lights and banners. Many travelers passed by, some tall, some short, some walking on more than 2 legs. Some had wings, others had smooth metallic skin, but all of them walked together peacefully. Orban was known for that. Peace, trade, and unity. Humans had always liked it here. As the crew moved deeper into the station, they began hearing whispers. A soft yet spreading rumor. Humans. The humans have come. Are these the ones from the outer rim? Are these the humans who helped the Voran? At first, Alara did not understand. Then she saw something surprising. A group of Voran stood waiting in the main hall. Same silver eyes, same smooth pale skin, same gentle look. But this time they were not frightened or weak. They stood tall, calm, and confident. Their clothing looked ceremonial, decorated with glowing patterns. They looked like representatives, ambassadors. One of them stepped forward. "Captain Alara Vance of the human ship Endeavor," he said in a warm voice. "We are honored to see you again." Alara blinked in surprise. "You know who we are?" The Voran smiled softly. "We remember those who helped us. When your ship saved our people, our council recorded your names, your actions, and your courage. Our gratitude is something we hold with great care." Alara looked at her crew. They were amazed. Most species remembered kindness, but not like this. The Voran seemed to treat gratitude like something sacred. The Voran continued, We have heard that you have come to Orobon to rest and resupply. Please allow us to assist you. It would be our honor." Before Ilara could respond, a loud metallic voice cut across the hall. "Do not accept their offer." Everyone turned. A large figure approached, a representative of the Tracian Trade Authority, an organization known for controlling many business routes. The Tracians were tall, scaled beings with tough armor-like skin and glowing yellow eyes. The Tracian leader looked at Ilara. "The Vorin are weak. Their resources are small. They cannot repay debts properly. It is wiser to trade with those who have power." The Vorin ambassador remained polite. "We do not trade power. We offer loyalty and respect," the Tracian scoffed. "Loyalty does not build ships. Respect does not fuel engines." The atmosphere grew tense. The Tracian leader stepped closer to Ilara. "Human captain, we can provide fuel, parts, maps, anything you need. The Vorin have nothing useful to offer." Ilara listened calmly. She did not like arguments, but she understood diplomacy. She turned to the Vorin. "What is happening here?" The Vorin looked at her with honesty. "Our world holds minerals that the Tracian Trade Authority wants. They have tried to force agreements that would harm our people. We have refused. Now they try to isolate us so that we cannot trade, cannot grow, cannot survive." So the Vorin were in trouble again. They were peaceful, gentle, but they were being pushed by a larger power. And once again, humans were caught in the middle. Ilara stood silently for a moment. The Endeavor could not fight the entire Tracian Trade Authority. The Tracians were too strong and too widespread. A direct conflict would be foolish, but Ilara did not need to fight. She only needed to speak truth. She looked at the Tracian representative. "Trade is not only about power, it is also about trust, and the Vorin have shown trust in us. That is worth more than any resource." The Tracian eyes narrowed. "Then you choose the Vorin over the Trade Authority?" "We choose what is right," Ilara replied calmly. The Tracian leader gave a long, slow exhale. "Very well. But remember this, humans. Alliances shape futures." He turned and left. Silence filled the hall. The Vorin ambassador bowed deeply, a gesture of profound respect. Humans do not turn away from those they have helped. You show loyalty, and loyalty is a powerful force. The Vorin led the Endeavor crew to a peaceful living district. They stayed in rooms decorated with soft glowing patterns and calming light. They were given meals of fresh fruit-like foods that floated gently in warm water. The taste was mild and pleasant. As they ate and rested, Ilara and her officers noticed something interesting. The Vorin were not as weak as people believed. Their technology was quiet, smooth, balanced, and peaceful. But it was advanced. Very advanced. Their communication systems could send messages across huge distances with almost no delay. Their medical knowledge was incredibly gentle yet effective. Their architecture used energy fields to hold structures together without heavy metal supports. The Vorin did not display power. They did not boast power, but they had power. They simply chose not to use it unless necessary. Ilara realized that other species misunderstood the Vorin because they were peaceful. Many assumed peace meant weakness, but the humans knew something different. Peace requires strength. During their stay, the Vorin often spoke of the rescue in the Outer Rim. They described the event with great detail. They remembered every moment, every voice, every movement. They even knew the names of the human crew who were not officers. The humans listened, surprised. The Vorin remembered kindness the way others remembered history. To the Vorin, a good deed was not a small thing. It was something eternal. Ilara understood something important that day. Humans were known in the galaxy for bravery and fast thinking. But the Vorin were known for memory and loyalty. Together, these qualities were powerful, but she did not yet know how powerful. As the humans prepared to leave Orobon, the Vorin ambassador spoke again. "We will not forget this meeting. It will shape the future." Ilara felt a shiver in her heart. The way he said it, it sounded like a promise. A calm, gentle promise with great depth behind it. The humans left Orobon, unaware of the changes their actions had already begun to cause. Out in the deep stretches of the galaxy, forces were moving. Plans were forming. And the bond between humans and Vorin was becoming something greater than anyone could see yet. The ripple of one act of kindness was spreading outward, quiet, steady, unstoppable. The Endeavor continued its journey through the galaxy, unaware that events were slowly building behind them. The bond between the humans and the Vorin had grown quietly, like a seed planted deep in the soil. It was something that could not be seen on the surface, but it was growing strong roots. Weeks later, the Endeavor received a message from Human Command. They were needed near the Vandrix Corridor, a wide region of space used for travel and transport. A large intergalactic corporation known as Heliox Dominion had begun expanding aggressively in that area. Heliox Dominion was not a government and not exactly a military force. They were business-driven, powerful, and determined to control trade. And where trade flowed, power followed. Heliox Dominion had recently begun claiming planets, resources, and even smaller civilizations under their influence. Many species feared them but resisted silently. They had money, factories, fleets, and influence in many regions. So when Endeavor arrived near the Vandrix Corridor, they were not surprised to see tension. Ships from different species were gathering, watching, waiting, and deciding whether to defend their territories. But Ilara and her crew were not expecting what happened next. A transmission came in. It was from the Vorin. The same soft voice, calm and gentle, spoke once more. Captain Ilara Vance. We need your help. Ilara's heart tightened slightly. What has happened? The Vorin ambassador explained with quiet patience. Heliox Dominion had demanded control of Vorin trade routes and mineral resources. They had offered a deal that looked polite on the surface but would slowly weaken the Vorin people. The Vorin had refused. As a result, Heliox Dominion had begun moving fleets toward Vorin territory. The Vorin were peaceful. They did not want conflict. They did not want to harm others or create war. But they also did not want to surrender their identity, culture, or freedom. They needed someone who understood loyalty, someone who understood choice, and they remembered the humans. Ilara thought carefully. The Endeavor was only one ship. They could not stop an entire corporate fleet. But she remembered how the Vorin had supported them, welcomed them, respected them. She remembered how the Vorin said, "We never forget those who help us." So Ilara replied simply, "We are coming." The journey to Vorin space took several days. The crew prepared quietly. No one panicked. No one complained. They knew helping the Vorin was the right thing to do. When the Endeavor entered Vorin territory, the scene was tense. The calm stars were overshadowed by a large, organized Heliox Dominion fleet. Their ships were sharp-edged, metallic, and heavily guarded. They were not attacking yet, but they were waiting, pressuring, intimidating. In contrast, the Vorin ships were elegant, curved, and glowing softly. They were positioned in a calm, defensive line, refusing to strike first. Even in danger, the Vorin held their principles. They would not start conflict. They would not become the aggressors. The Endeavor moved to join the Vorin line, small in comparison to the fleets around them. A message came from the Heliox Dominion. Human vessel Endeavor. Your presence here is unnecessary. The Vorin have declined to reach a cooperative trade agreement. We are here to negotiate, Ilara answered firmly. Your agreement takes their future away. That is not negotiation. That is pressure, the Heliox commander replied. Human captain, you are outnumbered. You are far from home. You are alone. Leave this matter. It does not concern you. Ilara looked at her crew. Their faces were calm, steady, supportive. She replied, We are never alone when we stand with the people we call friends. The channel went silent. For a moment, space felt still. Then something unexpected happened. The Vorin ships began to shift formation, but not in fear, and not in desperation. Their ships glowed softly, forming patterns in space, patterns that seemed almost like symbols. The Vorin ambassador's voice appeared again in the communications channel. Humans saved us when we were outnumbered. Humans helped us without asking for anything. Humans showed loyalty. We remember, we honor, we repay. The gentle glow of their ships brightened. Then more ships appeared. Not warships, not massive vessels, but fleets from other worlds, species unknown to humans, ships with designs the Endeavor crew had never seen. Some were small and sleek. Some were large and shimmering with crystal patterns. Some looked like living creatures drifting through space. Ilara realized the truth in quiet amazement. The Vorin had not only remembered the humans' kindness, they had told others. The Vorin had allies, many allies, because their culture of gratitude had shaped relationships over centuries. While other civilizations built bonds through deals, contracts, and power, the Vorin built theirs through trust, memory, and loyalty. Their gratitude had spread far beyond their own world, and now every species that valued the Vorin had come, not to fight, but to stand together. The Heliox Dominion fleet scanned the new arrivals, their communication channels filled with confusion. Their plans had not expected this. They had believed the Vorin were isolated, weak, alone. They had been wrong. Alara spoke again. You see now, kindness has power, respect has power, gratitude has power. You cannot measure everything by what can be bought or sold. There was silence from the Heliox Dominion. Then one final message came from their commander. This situation requires reconsideration. Slowly, one by one, the Heliox ships began to turn away, not because they were defeated in battle, but because they realized they were outmatched in unity. Heliox Dominion withdrew from Vorin territory. No battle was needed. No destruction occurred. No lives were lost. The Vorin and their allies had won through loyalty alone. When the danger had passed, the Vorin ambassador appeared on the Endeavor's communication screen again. But now there was something new in their eyes, something clear and bright. Humans helped us once, the ambassador said, so we prepared to help the humans tenfold. That is the way of our people. Gratitude is not a word we speak. Gratitude is something we do. Alara felt moved, not with pride, but with understanding. The Vorin were not terrifying in violence. Their gratitude was terrifying because it was absolute, unbreaking, steady like the stars. And the galaxy would soon learn this. If you helped a Vorin, you gained a friend forever. If you harmed a Vorin, you gained an opponent forever. Their loyalty was their strength, and now that strength was tied to humanity. Alara realized something profound. This alliance was not just a moment. It was the beginning of a new future. The galaxy was changing, and it all began with one simple act. One rescue, one choice to help others. The ripple had now become a wave. The Endeavor returned to human space slowly, its engines moving at a calm, steady pace. The crew felt changed, not physically but in their thoughts and hearts. They had witnessed something rare, a victory without war, power without force, unity without fear. They had seen how gratitude could shape destiny, but the greatest change was still ahead. When the Endeavor arrived at the nearest human command station, they were welcomed with curiosity and confusion. Officers and diplomats requested reports. Many could not understand how a peaceful species like the Vorin could stand against the powerful Heliox Dominion and succeed without conflict. Captain Alara Vance gave her report. Clearly, the Vorin did not win with weapons. They won with loyalty. They have allies across many systems. Their gratitude built trust. That trust built unity, and unity is stronger than any fleet. Some human officials listened with interest. Others looked uncertain. One officer asked, "But how can gratitude be a strategic advantage? How can emotions and trust shape galactic outcomes?" Alara replied with calm confidence. "When people trust each other, they stand together. When they stand together, they protect each other. That is strength. Not the kind built in factories, the kind built in hearts." Her words were simple, but they settled deeply into those who heard them. A new phase of alliance weeks passed. The Vorin sent a formal message to Earth and the Human Exploration Council. They wanted to form a lasting alliance. Not just for defense, not just for trade, but for friendship and shared growth. The message read, "Humans showed courage and kindness. We remember this. We choose to walk beside you." Human leadership discussed the proposal with care. Some leaders saw great opportunity, new knowledge, new cultures, new unity. Others hesitated, uncertain about the unknown. But when Captain Alara was called to speak, she said, "The Vorin do not offer alliances lightly. If they trust us, it means we have already proven our values. We should honor that trust." After long debate, the alliance was accepted. First exchanged to strengthen the bond, the Vorin invited a group of humans to visit their homeworld, Borealis. Alara and part of her crew were selected to represent humanity. For many aboard the Endeavor, this would be their first time stepping foot on an alien world. When the ship approached Borealis, the view was breathtaking. The planet seemed covered in gentle, shimmering fields of light. Not bright or blinding, soft, glowing like reflections across calm water. The land was green and silver, with tall crystal-like trees that grew in spiraling shapes toward the sky. When Alara stepped onto the planet's surface, the ground felt warm, almost alive. The air was clean and light. Soft winds carried gentle sounds like distant bells. The Vorin greeted the humans with warmth and peace. No guards, no barriers, no suspicion. A Vorin elder approached them. Their steps were slow, graceful, full of calm confidence. Their eyes held deep understanding. "Welcome to Borealis. You are honored guests. You are friends." The humans bowed respectfully. Learning the Vorin way over the next days, Alara and her crew learned about Vorin culture. They saw that the Vorin valued balance, peace, and knowledge. They did not rush. They did not push. They believed every action should be thoughtful and meaningful. They studied history through memory halls, large open rooms where floating bands of light showed past events. There were no loud speeches, no dramatic stories, just quiet truth presented clearly. One memory hall showed the Vorin helping another species in the distant past. Another showed how they protected weaker civilizations. Another showed how they remembered every kindness ever given to them, even across generations. Alara realized something important. The Vorin's strength was not sudden. It was built over centuries. They had spent ages forming bonds, one kindness at a time. To them, gratitude was not an emotion. It was a foundation. Human technology meets Vorin knowledge in return. The humans shared what they were known for: creativity, adaptability, and mechanical innovation. The Vorin were fascinated by human ships, tools, and problem-solving methods. Humans often built fast solutions using limited resources, something the Vorin admired. The two species began working together on shared research. The Vorin showed how to use energy in stable forms that did not pollute or damage. Humans showed how to create compact engines that could work even in rough conditions. Their strengths were different but complementary, and slowly, something new emerged. Not just alliance, harmony, a quiet concern, but not everything was peaceful. Some humans outside the alliance did not like the growing closeness. They feared that trusting another species so deeply would make humans dependent or vulnerable. They whispered doubts, questioned motives, and spread worry. Why are the Vorin so loyal? What do they really want? No one gives everything without expecting more. Alara heard these concerns, but she did not react with anger or frustration. Instead, she explained calmly, "Not everyone in the universe wants power. Some want connection. The Vorin repay kindness because they believe kindness is sacred." Still, the doubts continued. The Human Council asked the Vorin ambassador to speak before them. The ambassador arrived without guards, without weapons, without any display. They carried a single small stone, smooth, silver. Glowing faintly, they placed the stone gently on the council table. "This stone has passed through the hands of 13 generations of Vorin. Each time it was passed, it was given to someone who helped another. It represents trust. We give it to you now. We ask for nothing in return. We only offer our gratitude." The council chamber fell silent. The gesture was not grand, but it was powerful. Trust was being exchanged, not as negotiation, but as truth. The bond deepens. Months passed. Human ships traveled in Vorin space freely, welcomed everywhere. Vorin scholars visited human academies and universities, teaching new ideas about peace, memory, and cooperation. New star maps were shared. New cultural celebrations were held. The alliance became a source of curiosity to other species. Many watched quietly, some with hope, some with caution, but the bond continued to strengthen. On the Endeavor, the crew noticed something small but meaningful. The humans and Vorin had begun to adopt little aspects of each other's behavior. Humans spoke more gently. The Vorin laughed more often. The bridge felt warmer, more connected, more alive. Alara felt proud not of herself, but of what people could become when they chose understanding instead of fear. A question for the future one. Quiet evening. Alara walked with the Vorin ambassador along a crystal-lit path on Borealis. The sky above shimmered with soft golden light from floating particles in the atmosphere. The ambassador spoke softly. "The galaxy is large, Captain Alara. Many forces move within it, some peaceful, some uncertain, some driven by desire to control. This alliance between our people, it is strong, But it must be protected through patience, respect, and understanding. Not everyone will accept it easily. Alara nodded slowly. I know. But we will stand together, because our bond is real. It was not built in negotiation. It was built in compassion. The ambassador smiled gently. Yes, and that is why it will last. They stood together, watching the sky. No loud declarations were needed. No grand monuments were built. No dramatic speeches were spoken. The bond was simple, steady, living. A quiet promise shared between two civilizations. We remember. We stand together. We grow together. The universe did not yet know how powerful this bond would become, but soon it would. Very soon. Many years had passed since the great alliance between humans and the Vorin began. The galaxy changed in ways no one had imagined. What started as one small rescue in space had grown into a bond that shaped the future of many worlds. People across the stars now spoke about how humans never forgot kindness, and how their gratitude could change everything. Some spoke with admiration. Some spoke with respect. Some even spoke with worry. But all agreed that humans were loyal in a way that was rare and powerful. Captain Alara Vance, now much older, no longer commanded the starship Endeavor. She lived on a peaceful orbital station that floated above a calm blue planet shared by both humans and Vorin. The station had large glass windows that showed the stars, the ships and the distant worlds that connected through trade and friendship. Alara often spent her mornings standing near the observation deck, looking out at the galaxy she once traveled across so boldly. She had become something like a symbol. People respected her, admired her, and sometimes feared what she represented. They saw her as the one who proved that a single act of compassion could unite planets. Yet Alara never thought of herself as special. She remembered the day she decided to help the Vorin ship. In her mind, it was simply the right thing to do. She never expected it to change history. One morning, Alara was joined by her old crew member, Commander Ryan Hale. He had also grown older, with gray hair and slower steps, but his eyes were still bright. He stood beside her and looked out into space. Do you ever think things would be different if we had not stopped that day? He asked softly. Alara smiled slightly. Every day, she replied. But I don't regret it, Ryan nodded. Neither do I. They watched a Vorin ship glide past the station. The ship was elegant, with glowing patterns that shimmered like gentle starlight. The humans had learned from Vorin technology, and the Vorin had learned from human creativity. Together, they produced beautiful designs and efficient systems that other civilizations admired. As time passed, many species tried to join the alliance. Some did so with sincere intentions, wanting peace. Others joined because they feared the strength of the bond between humans and Vorin. They saw how powerful loyalty could be when two civilizations trusted each other completely. Yet, the alliance remained careful. The Vorin always remembered what the humans had done. The humans always remembered how the Vorin had stood by them. Their relationship was not built on power. It was built on trust. One day, a group of young students visited the station. They were part of an educational exchange program, learning about different cultures. Some were human, some were Vorin, and some were from other civilizations who admired the alliance. They recognized Alara and approached her respectfully. Captain Alara, a young Vorin student asked, "Is it true that humans helped our people when we were weak and afraid?" Alara smiled warmly. Yes, we saw a ship in danger. Helping was simple kindness. We didn't expect anything more. The students looked amazed. One human student asked, "But didn't you fear the pirates that day?" "You could have been hurt." Alara thought for a moment before speaking. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means choosing to help even when fear is there. We believed that saving lives was more important than our fear, and that choice led to something greater than we ever imagined. The students listened silently, understanding that small decisions could carry great meaning. Another student, a young alien from a distant species, asked curiously, "But why do humans remember kindness so strongly? Why do they repay it with such intensity?" Alara placed her hand gently on the railing and looked out at the stars. Human hearts hold memories deeply. When someone helps us, we don't just remember the action. We remember the feeling, the warmth, the hope. We value those who stand by us, and we do not let that gratitude fade. It lives with us, the group nodded. Some understood immediately. Others would understand years later, through their own experiences. After the students left, Ilara walked to her room. Inside, she kept a small wooden box. It was simple and old, something she carried from Earth many years ago. Inside the box were memory tokens, a small piece of the Endeavor, a Voran crystal gift, and letters from her crew. These items reminded her of the journey that shaped everything. She picked up the crystal. It glowed gently, like it still held the voices of the Voran she had rescued long ago. She remembered their expressions when they were saved, their relief, their gratitude, their promise that they would never forget, and they had not forgotten. Later that afternoon, the station hosted a gathering. Important leaders from many worlds came to celebrate the anniversary of the Alliance. The hall was filled with light music and peaceful conversation. Humans and Voran stood side by side, working together with respect. A Voran elder stepped forward to speak. His voice was quiet but full of emotion. "Many years ago we were lost and helpless," he began. "Our ship was attacked and we believed we would not survive. But the humans came. They saved us not for gain, not for glory, but because it was right, and that kindness shaped our destiny." He paused and looked at Ilara. "We repaid them in the same way, not to show power, not to create debt, but because gratitude is a promise we do not forget. Together we proved that kindness can be stronger than fear, that unity can rise from compassion." The hall filled with gentle applause. When it was Ilara's turn to speak, she stepped forward slowly. Her voice was steady and warm. "We live in a universe where many believe strength comes from force, but we have shown that true strength comes from loyalty, trust, and understanding. Humanity remembers kindness, and when we repay it, we do so with our whole heart. That is who we are." People listened with admiration, some with awe. No battle was needed now. No conflict. The legacy was already alive. By the end of the night, Ilara returned to the observation deck. She stood alone, watching the stars sparkle like memories in the sky. Rian joined her again. "Thinking?" he asked. Ilara nodded. "Just remembering. We didn't know what would happen when we helped them. But we made a choice, and now the galaxy is different because of it." Rian smiled. "A good difference." "Yes," Ilara said softly. "A good difference." They stood together in silence, looking at the endless sky. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and challenges yet to come. But one truth had become clear, spreading from star to star. Humans do not forget those who lend a hand, and their gratitude can shape worlds.